It seems like any time anybody has a problem or an issue that they come across, the hot excuse right now is just to blame it on the events that followed March of 2020. However, I just feel like that's a cop out, and I don't feel comfortable with that. And I understand, and myself included, experienced some form, and I was going to say the majority of people. My first thought was everybody, and then I counter myself by saying myself included. But I was the real thought is probably the majority of people probably experienced some form of financial hardship after March of 2020, and I realized that it was an opportunity for you to either, take your life and your health and everything into your hands and run with it and make the best decisions, or you could make excuses. And so again, I just don't feel good about making excuses in the sense that I don't know, say that say my behavior would have been caused by, say, something that something that was caused by external forces. I'd like to think somehow that I have some sort of control, and maybe that's my delusion, that I'm, as a control freak, I have some sort of control in my life, and that I actually can, I don't know, make a difference on the things that are going to happen. I've mentioned that. It's funny, the thought of that, I've mentioned that to people in my family, where like I'll be like, the thought of determinism, as far as like, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, just like the idea that if you everybody has a predetermined pattern, that all of the things that have happened in their past have come together to create what's going to happen in their future. And maybe if you did this 100 times over, you would choose the exact same thing all 100 times, and you're not necessarily going to make a big difference in your life by saying things could have went differently. And so I think after further examination, so people see in emails, right? I think after further examination, it's got more to do with my ego, if I had to guess. I mean, I've even I don't know, like thought of them in like, I guess, a sort of an alliterative term that it's like my ego events. I have like ego events, and it could be something else, but that's the easiest way to think about it, is because like, I don't know, it almost seems like territorial in some instances. Like, of course, I could recall instances where I wasn't territorial, and like, say, maybe I felt like I had the opportunity to be, but that doesn't offer me any pride realistically. And it seems like if I'm not careful, I'm left like with my foot in the air, pushing away some associate. And it's like, when you have time just to relax and think about it, some of these events of my behavior are just, of course, not the ideal outcome. And it's like, again, I always want to revert to excuses, but I think it's got to be my ego. Like, if it was covered by the corporate press, it'd be like, they'd say what? Ethan's extreme ego escaping experiences. And then it'd be brought to you by Chiba Chew. No, it'd be nowadays that's probably less accurate. It'd be like Ethan's extreme ego escaping experiences, brought to you by OxyContin. No. Ethan's extreme ego escaping experiences. This holiday season, shove a holiday cylinder of athletic greens up your mother-in-law's ass. No, I completely butchered that last part. I guess it would have been better. You'd have been like, Ethan's extreme ego escaping experiences. This holiday season, take a cylinder of athletic greens and shove it down your mother-in-law's ass. How's this for filling the gaps in your diet, bitch? Sponsored by AG1. No, but I really try to do like all the things that I can. I try to follow like the workout plan that I've had, and the yoga. I do yoga twice a week, and on the days that I'm not doing yoga, I do 2 workouts. And then other than that, it's like I try to meditate, and it just seems like all the things, right? I can put them all together. I even feel like sometimes it feels like if you tell people you meditate, it's almost one of those things that's like better to keep to yourself. It seems like it's something that if you mention, they're like, But you know what I mean? Like it's like almost like you owe that time to them or to somebody else, that you spent that 10 minutes just trying to, for yourself, trying to better yourself. And maybe I'm just talking to the wrong people when I tell them that. But my point in saying that is I try to make these efforts, and it seemed like in February, like say like maybe earlier 2021, in that point, my workout was so exhausting that I could not fathom fighting with somebody. I could not fathom arguing with somebody. I could not fathom saying anything that I normally wouldn't say, because I was so exhausted. Like literally, if I would sit down for more than 60 seconds, I'd be sleeping. And I'm still kind of guilty of that. Like that's probably one of the biggest problems I have with meditating, aside from people making me feel guilty about it, which is crazy. And I know I should just not listen to other people, and they're probably not even doing that. I'm probably projecting that onto what other people are saying, and it's probably not even something that they're thinking. It's probably just something that I'm thinking, and realistically I should just meditate. But sometimes it seems like after, again, like 60 seconds, I'll be sitting there and I just pass out. Anytime I have like 10 minutes that it's not, I don't know, in front of people, not that it would be bad, just in the sense that I would have to either have headphones or have it on speaker, and then I'm not one of those people that like watches their telenovela in front of everybody, and I guess that was really specific. But I like to I don't know, try to take care of myself, in the sense that like if I do my meditating, it seems like I'm gonna be better off. At least I have a couple seconds maybe before I maybe react, or if I do my exercise, again, for the longest period of time, it was keeping me so tired that I wasn't able to respond. But like now, here it's been months and months and months since, February of 2021, nearly a year, and so it's like I'm used to that workload. I'm not. I'm exhausted. I'm sweaty. I'm tired afterward, but I can't honestly say that I'm tuckered out. And so like, I mean, I always just want to use excuses. Again, it's like the hot excuses, like, well, after March of 2020, everything just, it came to a crash. But I just, again, I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't think that's right. I think back in like this most recent experience that I had, it was like really hot, which again is just an excuse. And so it's just like I feel like all these things I can do to almost mitigate or to hold back, or it's almost just like it's a caged or the behemoth that is my ego has been bound, breaks free from the ball and chain that it was held by. And in my best intentions and in my best days, the decisions I would make would never align with that. But like the other day, a guy was just coming up trying to help me, and I didn't understand what was going on. My son scanned something twice, and so I was trying to unscan it, so you can like unscan it and say cancel it, but I didn't realize that like I was going to need some associate help. And so, for instance, he had foresaw that, and he just came up really close to me, and he's like, "Are you done bagging your groceries?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. You're making me nervous." And he was like, "Well, have you finished bagging all your things?" And I was like, I don't know. I was like, to be perfectly honest, you're making me nervous. I can't think anymore. I don't know what to do. And he was, so again, then I come to find out, and he just stands back for a second. And so I kind of held up my leg, because I was like, dude, I want you to stay back. Like I didn't understand what was going on. Then come to find out that you can't just cancel something that you've scanned without associate help. And so he was just literally anticipating what was going to happen, which is like so far above and beyond. Technically, it's his job, but nowadays for some associate to anticipate an issue that you're about to have with their self-register and take care of it beforehand. And I'm so bothered that he's close to me and bothering me, and but why my ego? And that's where I say it's got to be that. It's got to be where I've done all these things that for the longest time, almost like it's always like you had a forest fire and you tried to put it out, and you did put it out, but technically down there was like some embers, and like even though you put out what was on the surface, down below there was still coals, and so those coals were still burning, and now that's raged up into some fire that comes out on some associate at some store. And I just, again, I feel like I haven't talked to anybody about it. I wouldn't necessarily talk about it. I was almost concerned in the sense that it's a joke, and for my future purposes. But yeah, that's I just don't understand what that is. Again, my biggest thing is my ego. But why is it that for the most of the time I can keep it contained, and it's like it's taken care of? And again, it almost seems like a fire that's been put out, and then all of a sudden I have this instance where I just behave in a way that I never would in my right mind, or when I feel like I'm making my proper decisions. And again, I guess it almost just feels like it's bad to admit, right? It almost feels like it's bad to admit, like, hey, I made a mistake. And again, most people would follow it up with some sort of excuse, but I just want to get to the bottom of it. I want to find out more about it. I want to find out why is it that I feel that way? It's like I even feel it come up in silly ways. Like sometimes, like, and I know they're just trying to help. Like one time my neighbor came up and he moved my my garbage can. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, he's just, fuck, I apologize. I was getting a call. I'm going to have to just silence that. But he was getting my garbage can, right? And so it was just trying to help. That's not something that's a bothersome. So I'm like all of a sudden bothered with these, like, what is it? It's got to be some sort of like territorial emotions, like, ooh, don't touch my stuff, whatever it is. And so of course I can like get over that. And that's where I say it's like I've had these events where I didn't do anything and I did the right thing, and I feel this, and I don't react to it because why would you? Because it's like it's always so easy in retrospect to see like what the right decision would be. You know what I mean? What the smart thing to do is, what the easy thing to do is. But it's got to just be my ego for some reason. And I wonder, how do you, I guess the thought is, how do you put out the fire for good? You know what I mean? And some people would say that's your instincts. You always have that, and that's what's kept the human race alive, or whatever it is. But it just seems like sometimes that, I mean, that again, I don't even think, I guess because the things I just said, like keeping the human race alive, that's a positive thing. It's tough to even put it in the same category. It's like if those two things were driven by the ego, and if those two things are caused by the same thing, one is not in the same category as the other. Like obviously trying to keep the human race alive, and whatever your ego does to drive that, and then of course what I'm doing because I feel almost territorial, or because somebody's just too close to me, or because I don't understand what's going on. And I don't know. Again, I feel like the easy thing to do is say, well, we've been so used to making space with everybody. We've been so used to keeping everybody at 6 feet. And I don't know whose voice this is, and I don't know who says that or whatever it is. But, it's just like I don't feel good about it. I don't, that can't be the real reason, right? And so, I don't know. I'd just be curious to see what that is, or curious to see what are other people experiencing. Do you have some times where you just, again, it's like he was trying to help me in the sense of my neighbor, or again, the guy at the store trying to help me, and he's just really close trying to get on the register. But since we're both surrounded by the register and my son's there, I guess I just felt nervous. I was like, what is this guy doing? And he just foresaw something, that I was going to have an issue with the register before I even ran into that issue. And so I would have just been wise to let it ride out and to play it out. But I just felt, what's weird though? It can go so many different ways, and I never let. So here's like another example. I just thought of this. So like for this guy, one time I was doing a bid for this guy, and it was actually really cool. Like I started looking it up. There's all these places in Rocky Mountain National Park, right, where like almost all of it is owned by the government, right? Whoever owns the national park system, which I looked up a little bit and is really cool. It's like, I think the first one was like Yellowstone, and they did it to preserve it. So, and if you think about it, really, it's like that is kind of cool in the sense that like if they hadn't done that, there's probably someday, and I bet the day will still even come that somebody tries to build or do things in those areas where they shouldn't. But anyway, the point is there are still some people that because their family or whoever it was, yeah, it has to be their family at this point. At this point, if you try to sell one of these properties or one of these, I think it's called my dad called it a homestead. I don't know if it's always called that, but if you try to sell these, it has to go to somebody in your family. So you're not even able to sell it. Otherwise, it goes back to the government. The government owns it at that point. So there's these areas up in Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado where I live, and they have cabins and things like that. So they needed some work done. So I was going up there to do a gutter bid, but like this guy was really weird about it. And so the reason why I say it's another situation where I got like this weird feeling, right? So like he tells me like, hey, come meet me at my house. Come get in my car. We're going to go up where you don't have cell reception. I have some chores to do at the cabin. After I get done with my chores, I'm going to take you back. And I was like, out of 10 people that you ask that, how many people turn you down? Because I'm like, my spidey senses, whatever it is, are going off, and they're telling me I am not supposed to get in the car with you. Like, oh yeah, this is not a setting for Dateline. I get in the car with you to a place where we're guaranteed that we're not going to have cell phone service. I go up to the cabin with you. It's guaranteed that I'm going to be there for hours without cell phone service, doing things beyond what I'm there needing to do. And I was like, you expect me to do that? And I don't know. I think most people probably would just jump in the car and do that, but I didn't. And so I thought like I was making the right decision. You know what's funny? That guy even later, and it made me feel like I made the right decision as well. He was like, we did do the work for him. And again, I think it's really cool just because I love the idea. Like we got to go past like all of the ranger stations, right? And we came down to a point where I was like, I'm going to follow you. I'll go behind you. But right, so we're going in like where everybody has to like make reservations nowadays, and everybody says it's got to do that so that way you don't have too many people in the park. I guess my thought is I just hate the idea that we have wilderness, literally the wilderness, and you have to make a reservation to go in the wilderness. And I know everybody that knows anything about it is like, that's the right thing to do, but it just seems so crazy to me, like that I can't just drive up, park, and go into the woods. And I guess it's like, well, you can just make a reservation. Just plan ahead, make a reservation. You get to do that as well. You just have to plan like everybody else. The people that come for miles and miles and plan for years and plan for, time ahead to come up here. But point being, I followed him. I'm like, okay, well, I'll get in my car. I'll follow you up there. I'll go up behind you. And we're just going by all the ranger stations. And he's just telling them like, yeah, we have, work at the cabin. And so we just go right through. We don't have to pay anything. We don't have to. And it's not like that would necessarily work. I mean, I'm sure he told them information. Like you would at least have to know who it is. But it was super cool, man. I was seeing all kinds of places up there that like, attorney generals or something like. I mean, I don't know how many of those there are, so I don't know if there's like one for every state, but like people in, I mean, I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to say. I don't know how much of it matters, but point being, there's people that just own these little pieces of property within the national park that if they ever try to sell or make a profit on, they're not allowed to keep, they're not allowed to do. They have to keep it within their family, and it's just so cool that like to be able to go up there and work on them. I took some pictures and stuff, but I didn't try to stop too much. I don't know. I didn't know if I was like overcoming my stay, but you know what I mean? Because there are so many people that make their reservations and wait in these long lines and have to, I don't know, it seems a little excessive, but it is what it is. And yeah, the time with that's the time with the associate, the time with my neighbor. Most of them, aren't that bad. One time he did come out and like, I'd like to think that I was in the right here. I know I could have handled it differently, but like ultimately he's out there with his tool trimming my lawn. And the truth of the matter was I had just finished at least the last day. I can't remember if I finished that day or the day before, but I had just finished. I don't have a trimmer, so I didn't use a trimmer. I just mowed and like cleaned up. And then he's out there trimming my lawn. And again, he's probably just trying to be nice. But I went out there and I was like, get your equipment off my lawn. You know what I mean? Like, this is unacceptable. And he was like, kiss my ass. And I was like, you're not even worth it, man. I was like, I'm not even. And then he started trying to say like crazy stuff. It was kind of funny. It was really weird. He kept like trying to like literally recount the situation in front of me as if it happened differently. And it was really weird. I was like, I've just tried to stay away from him mostly, but I don't know. My point in saying that is I just wonder if anybody else is just having these instances where like something, whether you have done the research on yourself and you have done the inner lookings and you found that it's something else, or you also think it's your ego, and just maybe, you know, you've been embarrassed, or you've almost been, I guess it's funny, in that corporate thing you could have added that as well, right? Like I was calling them ego events, and I was saying if a corporate press covered it, they would make it a way larger alliteration, but again, another E word that would go that with that alliteration is just embarrassment, just total embarrassment that I behave in these ways, that if I was sitting here in this chair, if I was sitting in my room, if I was doing anything, thinking about it, I wouldn't do that. And then all of a sudden again, all those are just complete overreactions. Like, the guy was probably trying to help me when he did my yard. I just thought it was one of these things where, like, I would never do it. And again, maybe my ego was like, well, I just finished that and I did it. I guess that's how my ego talks. My ego talks in some stupid fucking rock voice. I don't know what that was. But yeah, did you guys see those did you see the jelly ice cubes? And I don't mean like, I don't know, I don't mean like what is it, I don't know, I wrote it down, but there's this thing that like UC Davis researchers developed an ice cube that doesn't melt or grow mold, which I thought was pretty cool, because it's like, right, I should throw my phone into stuff. I should throw my phone into really loud stuff. That's probably a really good idea if I had to choose what I did with my phone. But they made this ice that basically is not supposed to melt or grow mold, which is pretty cool, because if you think about it, like, the biggest thing ice does is melt. Like, you have to get rid of it. You know what I mean? So to be able to refreeze it and reuse it is pretty awesome. And then the fact that they're saying that it doesn't grow mold, so you could do it a lot of times. You would think you would wash it, but I don't know. The biggest example they were using is like people that have to buy ice for fish markets, because you're buying so much ice, right? So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know, I guess that's one of those things that I ran across that I was like, hey, this is some technology that is actually pretty exciting. I imagine if they get that to work out, that would be pretty cool. There was one other thing, I forgot what it was. I wrote it down, but I wrote a lot of stuff down. It was just one other question. It's not even important. It's retarded. Oh, you're not supposed to say that. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I could do my best. I could do my absolute 100% best to try to not say all the things that you're not supposed to say. And I would just end up cutting out all kinds of ridiculous stuff. Like, I would basically constantly just be cutting out things because I don't mean to say them, and I don't even mean to say them. You know what I mean? You know what's funny? I realized that weeks ago I said African American, and I literally thought I was being correct in saying that. I'm apparently a moron. I'm a fucking idiot. I didn't follow the times. I don't know that it's now black. You just call people black. So I was mentioning that thing about my son trying to be Steve for Halloween, and how I didn't know if that was right, and how if I'm over applying a rule that maybe doesn't apply in this situation. And then I heard people talking about it, and the correct term is black now. So it's just like, you know what I mean? Even just me trying to talk about it, I make a mistake that my intentions are not harmful, in the sense where I say that that was the term when I was growing up. That's what people said. I didn't know that it changed. I didn't know it's a new thing now. What part of my innards made me feel nervous that I needed to look behind me? But the same thing with, like, when I say the R word, I don't mean to say it. I don't mean to use it inappropriately. That's probably the same thing. It is the exact same thing. That's how it was used when we were growing up. Never to talk about somebody that had Down syndrome. Never to talk about somebody. I had friends that eventually, that's how I know it's bad. That's how, before it became this politically correct thing, before it became this thing that you weren't allowed to do, I actually had friends that I grew up with. I was in a school with two girls that had multiple family members, and every time they would hear me say it, they would fucking hit me or yell at me, or you know what I mean? Because it was personal to them, and it was very important to them. And it's like, never, not then, not now, never did I mean it that way. And so I do hate to use that word, but I do it because I'm a moron, and I guess that's just the easiest way to come across it. But I do stupid stuff all the time. I remember one time, and I guess I should say I should be curious if people are able to relate to this, but for some reason, like so my son recently he had to go get his teeth done, and I know I said that we didn't know in one episode, and then later I said that it was going to be almost $4,000, and then it's like eventually my grandpa said he was going to help us, which is all absolutely amazing. And like I said too, and like I told my son when he was like crying and feeling bad, and his mother told him that the dentist has no bedside manner, but I was just like, dude, everybody makes mistakes, everybody fucks up their teeth, everybody does stuff like that. I remember one time I was getting my teeth worked on, and it was clearly not the last time, because I never wanted to do the last time. And I'd be curious to see if I'm the only one, and it's probably just me, and it wasn't from any. It wasn't like from any past. I can't say that I have like a dentist thing. I can't say that like I've ever watched any video that would make me interested in dentistry. But I got an erection at the dentist while I was getting my teeth drilled on. I'll be honest, the girl that was helping my dentist is extremely attractive, but it doesn't matter, right? Like how does that happen? Why would that happen? Why, when I'm getting a drill put through my teeth, would possibly be that the time that my body thinks, hey, we should let everybody know. Just wanna let the room know. Just want to announce to everybody that we are now. I don't know what it was trying to say, but even when the girl's just trying to walk me out of the office when this procedure is all done, and it's just like so embarrassing. Like, jeez, I don't know. I guess I have mentioned that in previous times that I thought I figured that out, but no. Even in the worst situations, I don't know what that is. I'd be curious to see if I'm the only one that had that. I bet I am. No, you can't be that unique. There's no way I'm that unique. It's got to be something that other people have done as well. Why does that happen? Why in the world would that occur? It's like literally your mouth is open. I have a bib on where my face is drooling out. The next time I swore that the dentist was trying to help me out. He's a man, right? So I told you I put off my final procedure. I didn't tell you that, but I said I didn't want to go. And obviously now you can imagine why. It's like, you went back to that dentist? You had a rager while you got your teeth drilled on, and you went back to that dentist? Yeah, unfortunately I did. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, dude. He does really good work. Like, I'd like to think so. I don't know. My teeth aren't terrible, right? Like I said, at one time I got like 16 cavities. I just was not. I know exactly what I was doing. Well, I would eat cereal after I'd brush my teeth. Like, even my son still does this. Even after his teeth issue, he still does this. But I would like, I finish all my things for the day, right? And then I used to have this terrible habit of eating cereal every day. And at that point, I would eat it after I brush my teeth. And so, of course, he felt like he was informing me, but he was like, well, cereal has a lot of sugar in it. I'm like, yeah, I know. But I went to sleep with it on my teeth. So anyway, yeah, just be curious to see if anybody else runs into that. Is that something that just happened to me, or is that something that's happened to anybody else? Or I guess it's just one of those things you don't really want to talk about with people, right? Yeah, I never told him. I was with my son's mother at the time. I never would have told her that, because of course she would have. That would have been a whole. Yeah, yeah. So I'll be right back. Yeah, so I decided not to share that particular story with Breck just yet. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stories I can't share with him just yet. But like I said, I think the dentist even tried to help me. He was like trying to talk about nasty things, like, and I don't mean nasty like, I don't know, provocative. I mean like nasty. He was trying to talk about things like that were like gross the second time that I went in there, almost as if to like help me not experience the same thing. And I again, I didn't tell anybody. The only people I've told so far is you guys. But I wonder, like, when he goes home, is it just like, yep, another guy today, you know what I mean? Or is it like, is it happen so often that he doesn't even talk about it anymore, that he's just like, you know what I mean? Just another day at the office. Nothing to talk about. Nothing to see here. Or maybe it's just because that particular dental assistant is fairly attractive. Maybe you know what I mean? Maybe it's higher ratio. Because, like, I had my teeth cleaned by the same lady for years. Like, I haven't had them in a little while, and I heard she quit. My mom goes to the same place, and she told me that that particular lady quit. But I've had them cleaned by the same lady for years, and that's never happened, not one time ever. But this particular time with this particular dental assistant, yeah, so again, I probably won't share that one with my son, but if he ever decides to watch this, he can see it. There's lots of things that I can't tell him. I figured I'd save that for what if he ever decides to, yeah, I'm sure there will become a day where if he decides to share his woes with me, maybe in the teenage years, maybe another 7 or 8 years from then, at that point, there'll be stories that, like, I'm a moron, man. I live in Colorado. I remember one time every time that I'd get in trouble, anytime I'd get in trouble, I would either go to my dad's or I would go to Canyon City. My dad's house was in Denver, so I could basically leave my hometown of Loveland, Colorado, go to Denver, and then stay in his house. And he oftentimes wasn't even there. He'd either be working in like Winter Park, or he'd be working all over the place. And so, for instance, a lot of times he wasn't even there. Where was I going? Oh yeah, and I would oftentimes leave with like no gas money, because I would just oftentimes leave if I was either in trouble with my parents, or I think one time I even. I think I've said it before, but we had a curfew. Like, I got in trouble as a juvenile, and so as a juvenile, they instate a curfew on you, and so you have to be home by 6 p.m. And I think one time I stayed out later than my 6 p.m. curfew. And now that I'm saying it, and I don't know if it was just a lie I told back then, but the story, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember. I would say that it was till 6:50. I just stayed out till 6:50. But the deal is like my friend would take us out to his lake. I think I even talked about it actually before. Yeah, my friend would take us out to his lake, and this guy that lived on the lake said that he dropped his Rolex watch cover in the dirt in front of his house. So all of us were just diving down over and over again in the lake, just trying to find this, what I figured would be like some sort of watch cover or whatever it was. But point being, I got home at I think it was like 6:50, and then my stepdad got really mad at me. That was the story. I would always tell people, no matter what, the curfew was 6. I got there at 6:50. That's late. And so I think he reported me to my probation. And so then I ran. This was another one of those times I ran to Canyon City, and I remember I didn't have any gas. Like, I literally went there without thinking. Just left my house. I would always turn on, and it's I don't care what anybody thinks about it. I was in high school. I would turn on Rise Against, the siren song of the counterculture. That was like 40-some minute soundtrack or whatever it was, and that was always like the first 40 minutes of my rage runaway drive. And again, I live in Colorado. So one time I'm going to Canyon City, and I don't have any gas, and I don't know if you're aware, but that's where a lot of penitentiaries are. And I'm like 16 years old, driving my Ranger. I drove like a 2-wheel drive Ranger truck through it's night. It's late. It's basically desert, so it just looks like sand desert when you look off either side. They have signs that say if you see hitchhikers, do not pick them up, because it's one of those situations where it could be somebody running from the penitentiaries. Literally the scariest place to not have gas. And I'm like running low on gas, and I was so stupid too. My battery was dead. I luckily had my charger. I was smart enough to leave with my charger, and at one point I did actually find a gas station, and I did stop, and they let me come inside, and it was not like a place where they had a hangout or anything, but I was like, I need to charge my cell phone. I need to plug in my cell phone, and I need to charge it, and I got gas, thank God. But that was probably one of the scariest things. Like, I can't imagine. I hope my son never has a relatable story. I hope I never have to share with him that I did something stupid like that. I guess if he ever decides to watch this, he'll know that I did. But my point in saying the dentist is, I guess, this was not my, no, that wasn't my point. I didn't have that point. I was going to try to relate it. There was no relation. There's no relation. I have a point. Oh, I'm not gonna try. I'll sound stupid because it's not true. I remember another time in that Ranger, my friend. I was like one of those kid scooters, right? Like a Razor scooter. I think it was that time. So it was not the time. Whatever else story I just talked about, because now I can't remember it. But It was the time that I ran to Canyon City. So it was the time that I got in trouble with my stepdad on curfew, and I didn't follow curfew, and he reported me to my probation. And so I went to Canyon City. I don't remember. Gee, how am I so fucking dumb? How do I not remember the last story? Oh, it was the one I ran out of gas. Okay, yeah. So apparently it was the same time. So that's that same time when I decided to come back. So again, I was reported. So when like they report you to probation, like everybody's looking for you. Basically, all the law enforcement's looking for you for some reason. I shouldn't say for some reason, because you're out on your probation and you're supposed to be doing the right thing, and I was a juvenile and whatever it is. And so my friend, after I came back, I was hanging out back in my hometown, and of course it's not like I go report myself, like it's not like I go tell anybody. The same friend that years, I don't remember whether it was forward or backward, but he told me to keep the knife out of my pocket. It was that same friend, and he told me that I should go report myself, but I was stupid, and I didn't at the time. And then one time, my friend was driving my truck, right? And I had one of those kid scooters, and I think if you play one of those Tony Hawk games when they would take the skateboard, or it was even in Back to the Future, right? Michael J. Fox, his character would get on the Jeep in his skateboard, right, in the beginning of that movie. And then also, I think in Tony Hawk games, when they would get on the back of cars, they would call it skitching. So I'm a moron, and I thought I would try to do that with my scooter. And of course, I got pulled over. But this cop, he was like, if I was not looking for somebody, if I was not trying to track down somebody that was missing right now, you would be in so much trouble. And he's like, so I'm going to let you guys go, but never do this again. So I get into my truck that, again, my friend is driving. And maybe that was it. Maybe it threw him off because the driver was a brunette, like brown-eyed kid, and he's looking for me, and I don't necessarily, at the time I had blonde hair. I don't know what my hair looks like to people right now. I always think it's blonde, but I think my son says it's brown, so I pretty much have brown hair as well. But the point is, I didn't look like this guy, and so the person that they were looking for, me, was not they didn't think it was me. So then I do decide to turn myself in. That same cop comes to my house, and he's the one that arrests me, and he's like, oh my God. He just realizes that he literally earlier was like, I am looking for a guy right now, so I can't do anything with you right now, because he doesn't have time to like process paperwork. But the guy he was looking for was me. So he was literally like, I can't process you on this bullshit that you're doing right now with this car, but it's because I'm looking for a guy, and the guy he was looking for was me. I don't know. I will hopefully never have to deal with shit like that with my kid. They always say your kid's gonna be worse, right? And so I don't know. My mom would probably say that. She would probably say that I was worse. I try to do the right stuff too, though, right? Like I get his hair cut, I try to like take care of his hair. Like what's the etiquette on that? I have seen kids, I mean, I guess my sister's a good example, and I almost don't want to bring it up because embarrassingly I don't remember how old my nephew is, but I have a new nephew, right? And he's either like between 1 and 2 or almost 2 or something like that, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know, but I'm a piece of shit, and he's like a baby, right? And my son hates him because he's a baby, and so he's like, what is this new kid? Why does my dad watch him? Because, dude, little babies are fascinating. They're just always like learning and either upset about the craziest things or they're just excited about the craziest things. And so I don't know exactly how old he is, but he is a great kid. But my sister, I think, yeah, that was a nice loud car. That was great, right? Yeah, you like one of those people that just revs their engine. It's like a 30 mile an hour max, I imagine, in my neighborhood. That's crazy. That's so high. But they just, you know what I mean? They just fly through here with their really loud engines. That's really exciting. That's fun for everybody. But my point in saying that is, like, I guess I could use a personal example with my family and say that my sister has not gotten that kid's haircut in, like, it's got to be almost 2 years old. And I know that she always says that he won't do it. He's scared. And I was like, my son was the exact same way. I was like, he sat on my lap. And she's like, no, he won't do it. I was like, make him sit on his dad's lap. And I see it all over the place, though. And I just wonder, like, again, my sister's ex-husband, he doesn't get his kids' haircut very often, and when they do, they just buzz it. They literally take one of those like barber trimmer things and just buzz the kid's head, which I've cut my son's hair, and I'm just curious, like, how many people do you cut your kids' hair? Do you take them to get them cut? And then, like, what is your expectation, right? Because even nowadays we notice, which is funny, the other day when they have the mask on, they're like these little areas around their ear. It's not a big deal because you can easily get them, and it's like, thank goodness you have somebody skilled do it in a few minutes. But like if I do it, it takes me 4 hours. Literally, my son, his go-to movies were like he would watch like Lego Movie 2 and one of the Despicable Me's. I want to say Despicable Me 3. So he'd watch Lego Movie 2 and Despicable Me 3, and I want to say that's at least 4 hours of movies, and I'd be cutting his hair the entire time. My dad would always say, well, yeah, but you save money. You know, like even back when I was with my son's mom, he'd be like, if she just learns, she'll be bad at it at first. But I'm just curious, like, what do people do? Like, do you cut your own kids' hair? Do you take them to get it cut? And then, like, his mom would, like, complain about how much you're supposed to tip. Like, I don't know, again, I think you're supposed to take care of your stylist. I always try to do at least whatever the price is. So it's like the shitty kid haircut is like $15, right? So you give, like, $15 at least, right? Like, I don't know what people do. It just seems to me that if it takes me 4 hours to cut my kid's hair, again, the charge is only $15. The stylist deserves gratuity, but so it becomes like a $30 charge. But even if it's $30, isn't 4 hours of your time worth $30? Like, I don't know if I'm being ridiculous. I'd just be curious to see what other parents do. Do they take their kids to, like, the cost, all the places? I was going to try to name places, but who gives a fuck? I was going to do you do it at home? And then it's like so even like I said, we started doing it, and my mom bought it, and I like doing it. I like what I can make his hair look like, but then, like, I don't know. Sometimes his mom will complain and she'll say, like, I don't know how to style it when you do it like that, because it's like, how they can do it very versatilely, whereas like I just do it like one way, and I do it almost reminds me of, like, I'm not even gonna say that. It makes me think of like American Indians, right, where like they really shave up like a lot of their head, and then they just have like a little patch of hair in the top somewhere. It reminds me of that, and it's like, because I don't even know how to mention that without like somebody being up in arms. But luckily, nobody's gonna listen to this, so we'll be fine, right? It'll be all good. I won't have to worry about that. I'm just curious, you know what I mean? And then like, if you try cutting it, like, how often do you do it? Like, how like what's appropriate? Because like I almost wait like 5 weeks, I'd say, and I feel like that's ridiculous. Like, his hair's clearly coming over his ears, and that's what I was gonna say. There's those little hairs that kind of around their ears. They surround their ears when they have these masks on, which is kind of silly, but it's not a big deal. It's like, again, if they can do the whole thing and they do it somehow in like 15 minutes, these ladies are amazing. I don't understand how they do it. If it takes me 4 hours and they can blast it out in 15 minutes, and it's even a more versatile cut than I would have possibly done, no, it's very impressive. But I see even people on Instagram, right? They post their kids, and it's like, that kid has not had a serious haircut in 3 years. And again, my sister's one of them. So I'm just curious, like, is that normal? Do people normally just not spend money on their kids' haircuts? Because I think that's insanity. Like, like I've said before about like his shoes, like I feel like I spend more money on him than I get to on me. Like, I do still get my haircut, but it's just because, I don't know. Am I going to stop getting my hair cut because I had a kid? Like, that's incorrect. That's, you know what I mean? Like, that's an expense I just expect to have. I don't know, curious to see what people do. You know, another thing I'd be curious about? So my mom, this is one of the, I don't know if I've met, who cares? My dad was not around for a really long time, right? So like, my mom basically raised me. So like, until I was like at least 10 years old, I was just around my mom. So she told me things that I don't know if they're true. Like, you see those memes where guys are like, where are all these ladies that my mom told me was going to be around? And it's not like it's stuff like that, but like, my mom told me about like what is it, CFM shoes. I want to know, if there was any ladies out there that can give me some sort of insight on that, I would love to see if that's a real thing, because it's like, you see them. I mean, of course you see them. It's like and again, so it's like, it's CFM. So my mom would tell me that there was this thing when I was a kid, and who knows if she should have been sharing this with me, and who knows if it was appropriate, and I probably don't even remember exactly what age it was, but my mom would tell me that like, women would do this thing called come fuck me shoes. So if the women would wear this certain type of shoe, that meant that like, they will, you know what I mean? So for years before I have any real idea of what's going on, I'm just like, wow, if a girl wears a really nice shoe, and I'm sure it's not that serious. I'm sure it's not just like down to if somebody wears a really nice shoe that it's like they come fuck me. But I don't know. I'd be curious if anybody else's mom told them things like that. If anybody else's mom told them that these were the ways of the world, that the secrets that she could bestow upon you that would help you, work your way around the problems of interacting between men and women. No, but I'd just be curious to see. The place I feel like you'd see him the most is when I worked in the hotel business. You know how like everybody goes to like conferences, right? And I'm sure if you go to Vegas, you just walk into a place and they're like, are you from conferences? Are you here for a conference? And it's like, how do you know that? How do you know I'm just wearing a suit and tie? Like, do people not come to Vegas for other reasons? But my point is, there's got to be other industries that go to Vegas to go to conference, because clearly, for some reason or another, there's just an expectation that you're there for conference. But my point in saying that is, like, that's everybody's dressed nice. Everybody has CFM shoes on, right? So it's like, it's nice because it's an easy thing. I think I saw like a Flintstones episode a long time ago when I was a kid where they were like, a universal language is like nice shoes. And it's so true. If you tell, I'm not trying to be like, I'm not telling you the wisdom. I'm just telling you where I got it from and telling you that I've used it, and it seems to work here and there. But my point in saying that is, if a girl has really nice shoes on and you do tell them nice shoes, they at least appreciate it or pretend to appreciate it. I'm not telling you it's going to get you anywhere. It just like the immediate, when I felt like I was like trying to give advice, I was like, no, I don't have an advice. I can't tell you anything. I have nothing to, I have nothing to offer you. I'm not trying to do that. But my thought was just, maybe you guys could offer me something. Maybe somebody could tell me, your mom was trying to be nice to you. She was trying to give you secrets that don't really exist. Or, hey, my mom actually also gave me those same secrets. Or, no, it's not a thing. I don't really think it's a nice thing. The furthest I've taken it is just like, when you are watching out for it, if a girl, say, has like really, like the one that stands out to me in my memory is like, I remember a girl having like purple shiny heels. And I remember saying nice heels. And we ended up hanging out like the entire conference. She was way older than I thought she was going to be. And I remember telling, of course, I don't know if that's, you know what I mean? I think that helps when you say that too, but I actually meant that when I was saying that to her. But anyway, point being, we ended up hanging out a lot. I was just curious, like, what is conference etiquette? Because I remember another one that I went to. No, it was the same one. There was this girl. She literally came with an iPad. So it was an iPad full of videos of herself. And she was like showing them to guys at like breaks. Is this normal? Is it just expected? Like, am I a fucking idiot? Like, is it just like everybody, the etiquette is expected when you go to conference, you're going to hook up? Because I was maybe not aware of that. Luckily, I haven't gone to conference in years. I've only gone on wholesome family vacations with my son, and I'm always watching my son because he's of the age where he needs constant supervision, so I haven't experienced anything like that in years. But I'm just curious, is that the etiquette? Is that what people do? I don't know. I just thought of that. That reminded me of the thing after thinking about the CFM shoes. You know what else I was just thinking about? And I am probably a terrible person. And I'll just be honest about it. I would have never. So that plumber, right? Like, I was thinking about the plumber that the whole Joel Osteen Church or whatever it was. Why can't I say that? Joel Osteen Church. Apparently there was this plumber. Everybody's seen the story by now. Found a bunch of money in the wall. I think it was like $600,000 or something crazy like that. It was, I'm not sure the amount, but another thing I'm certainly sure, and again, this probably makes me sound like a total piece of shit, I would not have reported it. If Joel Osteen is doing what he's doing, and I sound like the Omen. Jeez Louise, what just happened to me? Am I being exorcism? If he is accumulating that amount of money with what he's doing, I heard there was people like all up in arms that he obviously needs to pay taxes because people are like, but my point is, I would have, and hopefully that plumber was smart enough to be like, yep, this is all of it. This is everything. This is everything I found, that 600,000 or whatever it was. But I would have been like, yeah, I found like $200 in the wall, dude. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know who would put $200 in the wall. Like, I'm a piece of shit. There's no way I would have reported that. Think about it. They're putting a toilet in. Joel Osteen has $600,000 in the wall. Again, they think it was maybe from like years in the past where like it was stolen, and maybe that. But who knows the validity of that police report? Who knows? Who knows even if that was accurate? You know what I mean? Who knows if that was not? You'd like to think it's not like an inside job or anything crazy like that. But my thought is just, if they're accumulating that much money and they literally can go without it for years and not even be affected, the guy installing the toilet at least should have skimmed some off the top. Am I the biggest piece of shit in the world? Am I the only person that would have done that? Am I the only person that if you were installing Joel Osteen's toilet and you found $600,000, you wouldn't report all of it? Hope to God he found $1 million. I hope he found $1.5 million. I hope he found $1.5 million and he said he found 600. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And is that just me? Am I a bad person? Tell me. I'd be curious to see. You tell me. What would you have done? Would you have reported it all because it made you feel better? Or just keep installing toilets every day? Just keep lugging those toilets up, and especially when you have to install one that's been installed cockeyed just a little bit for years, and so every time somebody shit, all the shit just built up on the side, and so when you take the toilet off, just because it was a little crooked for years, it's just got this gigantic stack of shit from so many years. Do you want to do that? Just keep doing that over and over again, or maybe just take some few bucks from Joel Osteen that came out of the wall. I don't know. This is probably, anytime I ever try to get a job in the future, they're going to be like, so if you just refer back to minute here, this is why we can't hire you. And I'm just, I don't know. You know what's a less invasive thing that I've been dealing with, and I'd be curious to see what people do. What is the appropriate amount that you're allowed to leave in your fridge? That didn't come out right because I'm on our word. If you take some milk out of the fridge and you utilize the milk, right? You're pouring it in a thing, and maybe like when you're getting ready to put it back in the fridge, there's only just like an ounce left. Do you use that ounce in your dish that you're trying to make? Do you chug it real quick, or do you put it back in there? Because my son will leave less than an ounce of beverage. He'll leave 1 unit of food, and I just wonder, what's the protocol? What do people's? I think there's an amount. I think that the amount is like, if one human can't consume that amount that's left over, you have to use it. You have to just use it, because I almost think it's more like, I don't want to take this out to the recycle. I'd like to not take this container wherever it needs to go, so I'm gonna put this back in here, and I just be curious to see. I've been really lucky over the years. I've never really had roommates, and my son obviously was young for years and years, so I didn't really have to deal with anything. But it's just one of those little things where it's like, it's not a big deal. It's not like it matters. But when you go to like grab a water or something, and you're like, it falls over because it's so empty, and a slight breeze just knocks it over because it's literally got nothing left in it. Like, it's not even a swig. It's not even one swig. What's your rule? 2 swigs? Does it have to have 2 swigs left in it? Is there some sort of etiquette that you leave in place at your house in order to keep the homeostasis of your fridge? One time I was lighting hopefully people are eventually, no, it's fucking wintertime. One of the nice ways to cook meat is on a grill, but I don't know how often people do it. Like, we, just are lame. We use like a propane grill. It's funny, the company I work for actually sells those like, they're the Green Mountain grills. Colorado, like, what is it? Green Mountain grills. So they have like, you know what I mean? The little, obviously I do a lot of selling them. Obviously I do a really good job of it. No, it's like our sister company, so it's like we just have them at at one of our shops. But it's not like I necessarily, it's one of my things. But my point in saying that is, it's just a propane grill. It's not like one of those smokers, like one of those I don't know why I can't think of the word. It's like the Traeger grills, or the smokers, the other smokers. I just can't seem to think. Pellet grill. We sell those pellet grills. So it's not something like that. It's just like a propane grill. But I remember lighting those when I was a kid, and I literally blew off all of my eyebrows and my hair. I remember I didn't realize that this sounds so stupid just as I'm saying it, but like I didn't realize that once you start the gas, that entire area above that is all gonna be just raging with gas. And I remember all I had was matches to start it, and so I was like looking around on my deck, and I was like, where am I gonna strike this match? And I was like, oh, it's really rough on the inside of the grill, and I was like, that'd be the perfect place to strike this match. And I struck the match on the inside of the grill, and it just blew off my entire face. I'm sorry if that was loud, but it flew off my entire face. I just had like totally singed eyebrows and totally singed eyelashes, and I don't know. I just wonder if I'm the only one that's ever done that. Have you ever started to start your grill and it just completely exploded in your face? Obviously, because it's raging with propane, and then you introduce a flame to it. And then that flame blows all the hair off of your face, or at least singes most of it off. I was just curious if I'm the only one that's ever done that. If not, I guess, hopefully it doesn't happen to you next time you start your grill. You're probably smarter than that. I really want to buy one of those pellet grills. I think that would ideally be just, they seem really cool. I had one guy offer me some chicken that he had made, and he had at the office. He was like getting ready to eat it out the fridge, and he was like, "Yeah, I made this out of my Green Mountain Grill, but I've never really tried it." But everybody just, it's like, what do the kids say? All the rage. It's like the big thing. That's what everybody's doing. What's a big thing that's coming up now? What is like the Valentine's Day? Again, maybe it's very similar to how I said, like, I don't need to connect it. I'm just going to shut the fuck up. I was just going to say, what do you guys think about Valentine's Day? And it doesn't have anything to do with the last thing I was going to say, and so I'm not going to try to segment it as if it does. It doesn't have anything to do. I just know it's, like, coming up this time of year. Maybe it's because I'm single. Maybe it's because I've never really in the situation where I have to, like, care about what somebody else is doing, but I just never liked the pressure when I did. I hated it. It is a nice opportunity, but like, for instance, okay, so like once I did something cool, then it was like, well, shit, next year I have to outdo that, and next year I have to outdo that. And I remember one year, like she probably didn't even like it. It was probably so stupid, but I got up really early and went to her work, and I bought all these containers that I thought she would later use, but I don't even think she fucking liked them. And I bought all these different kinds of chocolate, like fudge chocolate, all these different kinds, basically. I know I just mentioned one, but it's because I'm not going to sit here and go through kinds of chocolate. And I set it up in her area, and you know what I mean, just trying to be unique in the way that I presented it, and the containers that I presented it, and give a variety of different chocolates and things like that. And I don't even think it was that big a deal. She, of course, was appreciative. She, of course, acted like it was nice. But it's like, then what? Then what do I do next year? And it's like, I guess I felt the same with all holidays. It's like, what do you guys do? What do you do with your spouse? What do you do with people? Especially if you just started a new relationship, then it's like, one, do you get anything? Should you get him anything? Or is it weird to get him something? And then it's like, how intense should it be? And then it's like, do you establish a value and just do that value year after year after year? Or it's like, if I buy you a watch this year, I have to buy a tablet next year. If I buy a tablet, you know what I mean? It's like, and you're like, dude, those are the stupidest gifts. I actually gave those gifts, so I apologize. I just was thinking about, you know what I mean, costly gifts. And when I got to that point where I was like, well, now I'm just trying to do better and trying to do better. And it's like those, you know what I mean? I just wonder, dude, is it too much? I think it's too much pressure, but I just wonder, is it too much to spend that much? Or what do people think is right with Valentine's Day? You know what I mean? What's the right way to celebrate it? What's the and everybody would say you teach their own, I guess. Not everybody wouldn't say that, but I'd be curious to see what you guys would say. Yeah, I guess it's coming up that time of year. Hopefully I don't have anything else to say about it. I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about it. I'll chat with you again soon. I love you. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.